What's up, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of Demi Dad's Saturday Sit Down, my weekly podcast where I'm going to be, we're going to be breaking the social norms and the stigma against talking about things that people need to talk about that the society we live in just kind of doesn't like us to talk about, which, things that struggles that men go through. There's a lot of things out there that if you talk about issues, if you have any sort of mental health or any even just kind of stress and you talk about it, you're viewed as less of a man. So we're going to be talking about it today. We're going to be, we're going to really dive in and just be real. And this isn't just for men. This is for everyone. But I am a man, so that's going to be the perspective that I come from. So this podcast it's honestly severely overdue, and I'm making this because if I don't start talking about some of this stuff, I'm gonna explode. Not really, but I'm not gonna go crazy. I might already be a little bit crazy, but so that's what we're gonna talk about. Again, it's going to be a weekly podcast. Thank you for everyone who's watching on YouTube. Thank you for everyone who is watching or listening to the audio only on iTunes, Spotify, Apple Podcast, SoundCloud, any of those other things. Thank you so much. Go ahead and subscribe if you don't want to miss an episode. Again, it's going to be every single week, and we're going to get deep. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. We're going to have people on the show, some counselors. We're going to have people who also struggle with anxiety, depression, things like that, and talk about a whole bunch of stuff to just grow together and become better. And just continue, in this community of love and growth and support, and really just kind of be free to be us and learn how to become more of ourselves and be better selves. So I'm extremely excited. Again, thank you for everyone. Let's just dive in. This year has been, this year has been a tough year for a lot of people. It's affected everybody on the planet, which is crazy to say sometimes. 1 minute, everything is business as usual. And then the next minute, every single person on the planet has to adjust to a new way of living that completely disrupts our what we've known for however long we've been on this earth. So, And it wasn't a gradual thing. It was 1 minute, and then the next minute we had to. There was no other option other than to adapt and conform. And so, even the hard-headiest of people, I don't know if that's a word, hard-headiest, even people with the hardest head, this guy had to really adjust, and that brings up a lot of things, a lot of stresses, a lot of issues, a lot of disruptions to our relationships, to our people we come in contact with daily, our jobs. Suicide rates are through the roof. People are dying of COVID, amongst other things. Families are being torn apart. Anxiety and depression levels of the people that it affects have risen astronomically. Homelessness is on the rise. People are losing all sense of self. Hopelessness has kind of been a theme, which is a terrible theme. Alcoholism and substance abuse is just ridiculous right now. And so I'm making this podcast because honestly, I feel like I can't sit back and do nothing with someone who's dealt with these type of things like anxiety and depression and other things in my life and other struggles and other setbacks and hurts and hangups and things like that. I can't sit back and do nothing, and it's been far too long that I have been sitting back and doing nothing. So if this podcast helps one person, it will all be worth it, and I'm extremely excited for that opportunity. I want to start this community. I want to start conversations. I want people to send me messages. I want to have people who subscribe to the show on the show to talk about their victories that they've seen and things that they've overcome in their journeys. Because when I first started dealing with anxiety, it hasn't been all my life, but when I first started dealing with it, I was like, okay, I just got to get through this. I got to get through to where I'm back to me again. And over the years, I've realized that that's not a destination. It's not a place that we can come to. It's a journey. It's kind of like for those people who are extremely fit, like you see a super fit person running down the road, they're on a jog or a run or whatever, or they're in the gym and they're working out, and you're like, you've already won. Like, you have won. Go home, eat a burrito. But that's not how it works, because it's not about the destination. It's about the journey. And once you get to that next level, like let's say I find victories over my anxiety or my depression, it's not about getting to an end destination. It's getting to a better place and then continue to strive for a better place always. We can't be content with where we are, or else we're going to plateau and we're going to become lukewarm. And that's not what we want to do. We want to continue growth. We want to continue to become better. And so that's what I've learned in the last few years, is that we can't rush the process. We have to trust the process. And in order to trust the process, we actually have to engage in things that put the process on a road to reconciliation. We have to implement things in our lives that will actually bring growth in our lives. So I'm going to get into a little bit of my story here. I'm going to grab some coffee because it is early morning. This isn't very good coffee. It's like Great Value brand, but it reminds me of that scene in Elf when she's like, it's a crappy cup of coffee, or cup of coffee. It's a crappy cup. I can't even say it. Crappy cup of coffee. And he's like, no, it's the world's best cup of coffee. That's what I feel like I'm drinking right now, the world's best cup of coffee. Anyway, so my journey with anxiety and depression and kind of having this pressure of the weight of the world on my shoulders that I really can't get over, it didn't start at a young age. My dad died when I was 10, and that was very traumatic, and I'll get into that maybe in this episode, maybe in a future episode, but I didn't really have a lot of anxiety as a kid, even through middle school and high school. I just spit everywhere. Even through middle school and high school, I wasn't an anxious kid. I wasn't really. I was really free going. I was easygoing. I could adapt to change pretty easily. I think my anxiety started in college, dealing with relationships and things like that in college. But I really noticed it right after college. I was dating my current wife, as if she's not going to be my current wife one day. My wife, I was dating her at the time. And I took a job right out of college. It was a sales job. And basically what we had to do is we had to meet at 7 a.m. and then go and, we had to go and go to businesses and basically lie to them and tell them that we were sent there to sell them cell phone plans. And it was business to business sales marketing. And it was terrible. I only did it for 1 month, not even a month. And I remember waking up with cold sweats and panic attacks and things like that, just because the stress of this job. It was purely commission. And we basically had, our success was based on how well we lied to these people and screwed these people over. And I hated it. And I absolutely hated it. And I didn't know that going into the job, but that was the first time I've ever really experienced like symptoms of anxiety and things like that. And then, got out of that, got a wonderful job. I'm still working that job today. It is extremely stressful, but I do love it. I also work part-time, and even through this whole pandemic, I've been blessed to be able to continue working. I work my full-time from home, and then I work part-time recording music from a studio for a church during the pandemic because everything's online. But I've been extremely blessed and very, very grateful for that. But I have still had, crippling anxiety at times, and I'll kind of get into this in a little bit, but it's not anxiety that's technically caused by anything. It's basically just there, and it creeps up, and it sucks. So let's get into a deeper part of our recent story. For some of you guys who know me and my wife and my son Leland, we have had a a rough couple of years when it comes to. Sorry, I got the sniffles. I'm kind of getting over something. A rough few years with trying to grow our family. Our first son, Roman, he was due on December 1st, 2017, which is actually my wife's birthday, December 1st. But when she was about 19 weeks, we went in for an ultrasound and found out that the baby didn't have a heartbeat. And so after hours of crying in the hospital, we came to the realization that, it was December 3rd at the time. Not December 3rd. It was July 3rd at the time, so the day before 4th of July. So we went to 4th of July with our family who all knew that there was this baby inside my wife who was no longer living. And that was kind of took the joy out of 4th of July. Kind of. It sucked the joy right out of 4th of July. There was no joy for us, at least. So the 4th of July, obviously, the doctor was unavailable and the hospitals were closed. And then the 5th of July, Jordan had to go in and get medicine because she couldn't miscarry the baby naturally at home because she was too far along. And so on the 5th of July, we had to go in and they had to start the process of inducing labor. And so we did that on the 5th of July. Then the 6th of July, we were in the 7th of, I'm getting my dates mixed up. 5th of July, we started the process to induce labor. 6th of July, we were in the hospital and just waiting for this baby to be born. And I think she only had to be like 3 or 4 centimeters dilated before she could give birth to the baby. To make a long story even longer, we waited for hours. The doctor said it's going to be a couple hours, so the doctor went and did some other stuff. The nurses weren't in the room, and my wife ended up having the baby with no one else in the room other than me. And we called the nurses in, and they got the baby and bundled him up, and he was about he could fit in my hand. And I can still feel the weight of him. He was wrapped in like a towel and a wash rag, or a blanket and a wash rag, or something like that. And the family came. We all got to spend about 6 hours with Roman before the hospital staff took him away, and we went home empty-handed. We went home to our dog Gunner, and it was the worst feeling in the world. Fast forward to May 3rd, 2018. So right after Roman, right when we could start trying again, we started trying again because we had this dream of growing our family. We wanted kids. We knew that, and we knew that this was unfortunate, and this was heartbreaking, and this sucked, but we had faith in God that he was going to bring children into our lives. And May 3rd, 2018, even through my wife having preeclampsia and having the baby a little bit early, we had a wonderful son, Leland, who is with us. He's 2.5 years old now, and he is incredible. For you guys who know him, he is the coolest kid on the planet. And I'm spitting everywhere. Drink some water. Yeah, he's the coolest kid on the planet. I love him to death. He brings so much joy to our lives. And so we thought, okay, we're out of the woods. This is great. This is awesome. This is cool. We're going to start growing our family more. We want like 4, 5, 15 kids, not really. We want like maybe 4 and then adopt. So fast forward another year. We have Jordan's pregnant again. Baby Quinn was due December 26, 2019, but was born in July 13th. So really just a year and a week after, or 2 years and a week after Roman. So same month of July. So July sucks. I hate July. She was 13 weeks along. It was to the point where they couldn't induce labor because she wasn't far enough along, but she was far enough along that they couldn't let the baby be born like a normal miscarriage. So they had to go in and do a DNC, which is a surgery to take out the baby. Sorry, I told you we're going to get real in the show. And so we did that, and that sucked. I mean, the first one, it was like a fluke, and then Leland was perfectly healthy. Then this baby, Quinn, just another unfortunate miscarriage is what we were told by the doctor. And nothing against the doctor. We loved our doctor. We were all on this journey together trying to figure out what was going on. And so okay, so let's keep trying, let's keep our faith. Let's, pray. We're going to really hold on to the promises that we know God has promised us. Fast forward again, Ezra, a fourth boy, was due October 29th, 2020, so this year. But he was actually born April 17th, 2020, when my wife was about 10 and a half weeks. So again, same story with Quinn, where they had to do the DNC and get the baby out. And they're all buried. All three of the boys are buried in Dry Creek Cemetery in Boise, Idaho, and we live like a mile down the road from there, so we can easily go visit. We can actually see it from our apartment, so that's amazing. But then we're like, we really got to get this figured out. We need to figure out what's going on. So we tried some other doctors. We had family help us with the finances, which was amazing. We figured out that my wife had tested positive for MTHFR gene mutation, which basically means that there's a blood clot that clots the blood so that the placenta doesn't receive blood, which suffocates or makes the body not suitable for life. So she's on a daily injection now of a blood thinner and some other medications that the new doctor has given her, and we have a new baby coming April 22nd of next year. So we're extremely excited for that. She's 22-ish weeks along, and everything is perfect so far. I mean, knock on wood, Lord willing, everything is good so far. So we have a lot of hope in this next season. We're very excited. But to see my wife go through these things, I mean, as a husband, it's hard to see your wife or your kids go through anything troubling, anything that you can't take the pain away from, because that's what I am. I'm a fixer. I need to fix things. And to see my wife go through these things and know that there's nothing that I can physically do to take the pain or the hurt away from her is crippling. And as a man, we can't really talk about these things. We can't bring up things like this to people. There's not really a platform for us unless if we go to counseling, which I highly recommend counseling. If you have never been to counseling, everybody needs counseling. Go. But it's just this thing that if you as a man, and again, this isn't a man show, but this is just the perspective I'm coming from. If you as a man talk about these things and you talk about how you are really struggling, or you are like, you can't function, you're having a nervous breakdown, you are viewed as less of a man. You are viewed as someone who can't support. I mean, that's our job. We have to be there for other people. We have the weight of the world on our shoulders. Not necessarily. I mean, women are so much stronger than men. Let's be real. Women run this world, but there is a kind of expectation for men to be the provider, the supporter, the rock, the rock in the household, and so it's hard sometimes. And so I think honestly, we need to normalize men talking about our issues. We need to normalize men being like, "Yo, I'm weak today. I need help." There's even men asking for directions. Why is that so bad? Why can't we ask? If I need to know where to go somewhere, why can't I ask this person? Or if I'm in the store, why can't I ask this person where the deli meat is or where the potato chips are if I can't find them? Like, it's so dumb. Let's normalize men being wussies, I mean, not, you know what I mean. So yeah, anxiety has become crippling at times, and honestly, even just like talking about this has been so nice. It's been so peaceful for me. So if this helps nobody and it helps me, it's still worth it. But I really just want to help other people and build this community with you guys. But and I'm also an emotional guy, so I go through super emotional times where I'm like, throughout the day, I'm just on the brink of tears for absolutely no reason. Like, I'll see one sad commercial and I'm a wreck for the rest of the day, and you can't get me out of that. And that's not really anxiety driven. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's me just being an emotional little girl. But man, crying feels so good. Every person should cry at least like 3 times a year, and not just cry, but like have a good cry where you need tissues and you need ice cream. Like, let's normalize guys crying. I mean, geez, it's so good. I'm gonna go cry after this. I'm gonna go sit down and have a good cry. But let's talk about different types of anxiety, because I'm not talking about everybody feels anxiety at some point in their life, and I'm not necessarily talking about the anxiety, not to take any credit away from the anxiety of like feeling on a first date, or nervous for a test, or like a new class, or driver's ed, or going to a dance. Obviously that's anxious. I mean, you feel anxiety through those processes, but with my the type of anxiety I feel is a little bit deeper than that. And not saying that that's not deep, but it's just different. Because those types of anxiety, you can really pinpoint a kind of a cause and effect. Like you know why you're feeling this, and then once you get through that event or through that thing, you feel better. Unless if it goes terrible, and then you don't feel better. But the type of anxiety I feel is more of like just a sense of lost. Like, that feeling when you go on a road trip, or you go camping, or you're going somewhere, like not somewhere like you're not going to the store, but you're going on an actual trip somewhere, and you feel that feeling of like, what did I forget? I forgot something. There's something I'm not remembering. There's something vital that I need and I do not have. And it's that feeling, except blown out of proportions. Like, it is times 1,000, and it is nuts, because I'm like, what did I forget? But it's not even that I forgot something. It's just that feeling of loss, and that feeling of what is happening. Something is not right. So there's that side of it. There's also a side of it of like, I can go to Walmart for like 2 or 3 things and get so overwhelmed with nothing, overwhelmed with absolutely nothing, and walk around Walmart for 2.5, 3 hours and leave with nothing, because my brain just shuts off and I can't even think. There's no rhyme or reason. It doesn't have anything. It doesn't have to be triggered by anything. It's just there, and it lingers, and I have to be very strategic in order to get rid of it. And sometimes it doesn't go away for hours, or even, it's bled into days before, which is really, really sucky. But anyway, the reason I'm sharing this is because this world is so divided. We live in a world where everyone is judging everybody for everything. And it's not going to change unless if we as a people in a community become more open and more real and more vulnerable with each other and with ourselves. What's that quote by Dr. Seuss? It's from the Lorax. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. And that's kind of the backbone of this show, is if I don't do anything, nothing's going to change. We live in a society that tells men, again, not just men, but even women, like everyone, it tells us we can't talk about things we struggle with, or the world's going to view us as dramatic or brats, or people who can't function in a normal day-to-day life. And that's not it. We just have these hang-ups that we are working to get over and get through and heal from. I mean, even like men, again, they're just using this example, but like we don't even want to borrow anything from the neighbors because we're in competition with our neighbors. We are like, we can't show any sign of weakness to our neighbors or to our friends. Like, what is up with that? What is that? Come on. We're not going to be in community fully until we break down these invisible barriers that we put up as people. Because whether it's what we're taught by society or we're taught by the way we were raised, like, things need to change. It's 2020. It's going to be 2021. Things need to change. We need to become a united people, because this United States is a divided states right now. It is ridiculous. And I'm tired of it. So anyway, and I'm in no way am I saying my life is bad. I have a beautiful wife. I have a beautiful, wonderful son. I love all of my family. I have again, financially, I'm able to keep working during this pandemic. I am extremely grateful and extremely thankful for my life. I've been able to spend more time with my family through this. So, in a way, my church's theme right now is blessings in disguise. And this pandemic has let me spend more time with my son. Before this pandemic, I never got to see his morning routine on the weekdays. I never got to wake up with him in the morning on a Monday because I was already at work. And so it's been wonderful. He's 2.5. He's in that stage where he's changing almost every single day. And so it's been so great. Like, I love my life. And my anxiety isn't about what's happening to me. It's not about circumstances. It's just a thing that isn't caused by anything most of the time. Unless the car breaks down and then I have to pay for it or buy Jordan brand new tires. Because then it's finance based, but it's not caused by anything, and I just have a mental breakdown, or I get super emotional. So again, I'm not trying to take away from my life. I love my life. I love everyone in my life. But that doesn't stop the anxiety and the depression and the struggles. Because you can have a wonderful life and still have issues. Look at all the celebrities, and like, let's take Robin Williams, for an example. Like, he never showed any signs of weakness. He was the funny guy, and I'm kind of, unfortunately, that's kind of how I live my life too. I try and mask things with humor, and that's a habit I'm trying to get out of. But even these rich celebrities, these people who have all the resources in the world can still struggle with probably a lot more things than people who don't have money, that much money, struggle with. So it's not just what's happening to you. It's a mental state. It's a mindset. It's a lot of different factors that if you don't take control of them now, they're going to take control of you later. So right now we are deep in the holiday season. Anxiety is through the roof. This is the time of year where suicide rates go through the roof. Depression is on the rise, and that was before the pandemic. My nephew, about 10 years ago, he was telling me how he was a paramedic, and he was new at the time, and so he hated Christmas season because he always had to work it because he was brand new, and he would come home and had just talked people out of, helped them not commit suicide or all these terrible things at the happiest time of the year. So again, that's why I'm making this podcast, because I have to. I can't sit back and do nothing anymore. And the holidays are hard for me because I love people. I love my family, like I said before, but people really drain the heck out of me, man. Like when I go to a family function or any public place, I feel like this is part of what I was saying when I was talking about Robin Williams, is I feel like I have to be on at all times. Like I have to be witty and funny and clever and outgoing, and it's more of a piece for me to let me, if I'm making people laugh and I'm, putting people in a good mood, then it makes me feel better, kind of selfishly in a way. But also I know that if let's say I'm not on, like I'm not feeling it one day and we're out to dinner and I'm just quiet. I'm not acting any different than anyone else. I'm just not over the top. I know that people are going to be like, you okay? What's wrong? Like, what's wrong with Lonnie? Like, why? Like, you don't seem like yourself. And I hate that. I hate that feeling. I hate being asked that because, yeah, I'm fine. You're making me mad now. Like, leave me alone. Again, and again, it's not that I don't like people, but they really drain me. And like, even going to I know like Christmas Eve is coming up, Christmas Day is coming up, things are coming up, even New Year's, like I'm going to have to go to these family functions and it's almost like I have to hype myself up leading up to it. Like, okay, just one more show, two more shows till the end of the year, and then we can relax. And that's a terrible way to think about it. But in my mind, like that's how I have to get over these things and it's not that I don't want to see you and be around you, but it's because I don't want to see or be around anybody. Like it's nothing against you, but it's against everybody. Like it's so scary to me. And it sucks because I think I might have said this, I'm an introverted extrovert where I thrive on people and I love being around people, but also I need time to myself. So leading into this busiest time of the year, I was talking to someone the other day and they said that everybody is rushing right now. Everybody is going nuts and everyone's like, let's just get through these holidays and then we can relax. And the issue with that is once we get through these holidays, we can't relax because we don't know how to relax because it's like we hit a brick wall. And mentally, our mindset isn't prepared for having nothing to do. January hits, New Year's is over, it's emptiness. There's really nothing to do. Everything resets, January. And then people are doing their New Year's resolutions because they have to do those because they have to have something to push for. So we're all in rush right now. Get to January because it's going to be time to slow down, but we're not going to have the ability to slow down. So what I'm trying to do now in order to prepare my mental state to get to literally start January 2021 the best I can is to now get into a mindset and get into a habit of daily, like 2 or 3 times a day, just taking a time to okay, it's going to be okay. And use a grounding technique of find 10 things you can see, find 10 things you can touch, find 10 reasons to be thankful right now, to get a sense of gratitude. And, gratitude's weird because, especially in this year, like our sense of gratitude sometimes, sorry, the fan might hit on, you might be able to hear that. Our sense of gratitude, I'm going to pull in a little bit. Our sense of gratitude sometimes comes at somebody else's expense, which is terrible. We see a homeless person on the side of the road, and then suddenly we're thankful for having a place to go home. We're thankful for having a bed to sleep in. And it sucks that our sense of gratitude has to come at somebody else's expense. Danny Lopriori was saying that on his podcast about mental health. And so credit to Off the Cuff podcast. But yeah, I really thought about that. Like, I want to start every single day and every moment of the day being grateful. So every night this last week, I've been, praying and saying, God, give me one more day. One more day, God. Let me live through the night. And that sounds morbid, but it's not really, because I'm not trying to make it morbid, but like, thank you for today. Let's make tomorrow great. Thank you for your guidance and, things like that. And then first thing in the morning, got in the habit of saying, I woke up. Thank you, God. Thank you for giving me another day with my family, my friends. I'm going to make the most out of today. Just start each day being grateful. So real quick, I don't want to drag this on too long. Let me know if this podcast has been helpful, if it's brought value to your life. But before we close up, I think it's probably going to be about 35 minutes-ish. If you want longer episodes, you want shorter episodes, let me know. Send me messages, DMs, send me questions. I'll bring them up on next week's podcast. I'll bring them up, if you ever want to be on the show and talk about your victories and your struggles, let me know. I mean, we can set that up. I'm in this for the long haul. So anyway, so before we go, I've got some techniques that I have equipped myself with in times when I'm feeling anxious or depressed, or I know that something just isn't right and I need to recalibrate my brain. Give yourself a timeout. It's number one. Take a walk. Go, literally a few years ago when we were in the midst of I guess we're still in the midst of our growing our family, but when it was a really dark time, I would tell my wife a few hours before I got off work, I would say, hey babe, when I come home, I need to just take a chair, go in the backyard, and just sit and stare at a fence. And I know that sounds weird, but it's what I need to do. And man, my wife is great. I need to get her on the show soon, because people like me who have these tendencies of anxiety and depression and these episodes, it affects everyone around us. And the people who have to deal with us are the real rock stars. I mean, holy cow, my wife has dealt with so much junk in these last few years that really, just thank you so much, Joe. I mean, I don't know how you deal with me. But she said, okay, whatever you need to do. If you need to go sit in the backyard, I mean, it was like January. It was freezing. And I was out there in a t-shirt just because when I'm anxious or I'm depressed, I need to feel something. And also when I have those feelings, my body physically gets hot. So the cold really helps. I'm generally a hot person, but like a warmer bodied person. So sometimes I need to just be outside in a t-shirt and shorts in the dead of winter. And that actually helps me. So again, with that, just being honest. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with your loved ones around you, and say, hey, this is what I'm feeling, and there might not be anything you can do to help me, but I appreciate you trying, and I just appreciate you being here with me. So, it's that communication that really, really breaks down barriers between people. Once I started being honest with Jordan about struggles that I've had and issues that I've been dealing with, our relationship has just gotten so much better. This next one's a big one. Limit alcohol. I mean, I'm not a drinker, but alcohol is a big one. Alcohol is substance abuse. Like if you're struggling with that, find help, because that's not going to help anything. It really isn't. I've had experience with alcohol in the past, and it is not your friend. It'll promise happiness, but the destruction it brings for that temporary sense of happiness is not worth it. Don't even, if you are able to say no without needing assistance, say no. If you need assistance, get assistance ASAP. If you want to talk to me about that, I'm open. Please send me DMs if you are struggling with anything like that. I'm not a professional. But I want to live my life with a sense of love and helping people. So if there's anything I can do, please reach out. Don't even stress about it. Get enough sleep. It's another big one. I'm a night owl, but I'm also trying to become a morning person. So it's a weird balance. I'm trying to work on my sleep. Exercise. I've gone back and forth with my weight throughout the last 10 years. I'm getting back into eating healthy and exercising now. So, because on days I exercise, I just feel so much better. Again, on days when I start my morning with a prayer or with a devotion, I just feel so much better. Some more counseling techniques is taking deep breaths, counting to 10 slowly. Again, using that grounding technique of 10 things, pick 10 things. 10 things you can hear, 10 things you can smell, 10 things you can be thankful for, 10 things. Any 10 things that will help you get a sense of self and surroundings, do it. Some other notes I made right here. Prioritize yourself. I'm a people pleaser, so that's hard for me sometimes. Take at least 2 times a day to breathe and slow down. Again, this is going to help us get ready to start January grateful and in a slower paced world. Hopefully there is a 2021. I mean, we don't know at this point. Again, start each day being grateful, maybe with a devotion, maybe with a book, maybe with just a cup of coffee, and just be thankful, maybe meditate for a little bit. And again, just be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself, be honest with your people, live a life that leads with love. Ooh, that's bars. Live a life that leads with love. And if this podcast means anything, that's what it is. To live a life that leads with love and compassion and kindness and caring. And, I see it on my social media every single day. People who are struggling with these things and just can't talk about them without being viewed as dramatic, or people saying, oh, thoughts and prayers to you, but stop posting about it on Facebook. Let's normalize it, guys. Anyway, I'm gonna sign off here. Again, thank you for everyone who's watching on YouTube or Facebook. Thank you everyone who is listening on Apple Podcast, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud. Go ahead, subscribe to whatever platform you guys want. And if you are listening on those and you want to see video, you want to see what it looked like, go over to YouTube, search Demi Dad's Saturday Sit Down, and you'll see my pretty face. We're going to have a lot of opportunities on the show. We're going to bring guests as well as we can with COVID season. We're going to be interviewing counselors, doctors, other people, subscribers. We're going to talk about stuff. We're also going to have some products that people can try that will help with your anxiety, things like that. So yeah, again, thank you everyone for your support. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your kindness. Let's continue to grow. Let's grow together. Let's grow as a community. Reach out to me. And I've got a lot of goals for this podcast and a lot of things I want to accomplish in this next year. So thank you. I love you. Be kind to each other. Love each other. And we'll see you next week.